Hello, welcome to the A Book a Day channel. Today, the book I'm going to interpret for you is called Drunk: How We Sipped, Danced, and Stumbled Our Way to Civilization. Today, we are going to have a serious conversation about the act of drinking. This book primarily answers a question. Every drop of alcohol is harmful to the human body, yet nearly no civilization has missed out on alcohol. Why do humans love to drink so much? Over the past few thousand years, one of the significant problems that humans concentrated their intelligence and resources on solving was how to get themselves intoxicated. Archaeologists have found that alcohol was not a byproduct of agricultural invention, but the motivation for inventing agriculture. Archaeological discoveries of early human societies around the world always include a significant number of finely crafted vessels for drinking. Even societies on the brink of starvation would set aside precious grains or fruits for brewing. Many countries, like Russia and the United States, have implemented alcohol prohibition at some point to safeguard their food supply. Even in jurisdictions where alcohol was banned, many people risked their lives to get intoxicated using perfume or cleaning agents. At the University of Oxford, night discussions would begin with a Latin proclamation translated as, "Now, it's time to drink." In the early days of the COVID-19 pandemic, when the U.S. government imposed lockdowns, there was a significant debate about what constituted essential services that couldn't be closed. The answers varied, with some states declaring golf courses as essential, while others insisted that firearms stores should stay open. However, almost every jurisdiction acknowledged and never disputed one thing: liquor stores must remain open. Pennsylvania briefly attempted to close liquor stores, sparking immense public outrage, and they quickly reversed their policy. While humans passionately manufactured and consumed alcohol, they were also well aware of its harm. Alcohol, although it provides some calories, has almost no nutritional value, and is made from scarce grains and fruits. Consuming alcohol impairs cognitive and motor skills, damages the liver and brain cells, leading to blackouts, drunk driving, and various risky behaviors. If drinking alcohol were an absolute vice, why didn't evolution eliminate this vice from human behavior over the thousands of years since the advent of alcohol? The core argument of this book, written by renowned Canadian scholar Edward Slingerland, is that humans' love for alcohol is not an evolutionary mistake but has substantial evolutionary reasons. Throughout the long process of evolution, the pursuit of intoxication, excitement, and cognitive change has contributed to individual survival and cultural prosperity. Evolution is not foolish, and its progress is much faster than most people think. Getting drunk is not an evolutionary error or omission. It is a tool that has helped humans address many challenges. The author of this book, Edward Slingerland, is a distinguished university scholar and a professor of philosophy at the University of British Columbia in Canada. He also holds positions in the departments of East Asian Studies and Psychology, and is the director of the Center for Human Evolution, Cognition, and Culture, as well as the Religious Database. His academic interests are broad, and he has even translated the Analects of Confucius in this book. He presents a broad perspective, including psychological, historical, and evolutionary angles, to support his main points. While making his arguments, the author also addresses some intriguing questions, such as why the famous poet Li Bai needed to be drunk to write poetry, but couldn't do it with tea. He explores why people exhibit strange behaviors when they are drunk and why many important matters are settled at the drinking table. Of course, interpreting this book today is not an endorsement of drinking, but it aims to provide a richer and more interesting perspective on why alcohol has become an irreplaceable human hobby, and the cultural and historical significance behind it. This book will make you reminisce about the joy of drinking with friends and give you a reason to have a small drink, while also warning you about the dangers of excessive drinking and offering solutions to tackle bad drinking culture. I will interpret this book in 3 parts. In the first part, we will answer the primary question of how drinking serves a positive role in human evolution and development. In the second part, we will shift our focus back to the modern era and discuss the role of drinking in contemporary society. In the third part, we will primarily discuss the negative aspects of drinking and how to drink responsibly. Now, let's formally delve into this book. Part 1. Anthropologist Michael Dietler once pointed out that alcohol is the most widely consumed psychoactive substance in the world, with over 2.4 billion active alcohol consumers worldwide, making up approximately 1/3 of the global population. Humans have been consuming alcohol for thousands of years. Archaeologists have discovered traces of a wine-like substance on pottery shards, dating back to around 7,000 years ago, in the Yellow River Valley of China. This early alcoholic beverage was made from wild grapes, rice, and honey, marking the earliest direct evidence of alcohol production by humans. Archaeological records from around the world depict scenes of alcohol consumption and gatherings. Even in North America, where indigenous populations did not produce alcohol, there was a highly complex tobacco cultivation and regional trade system, with archaeological findings of tobacco pipes dating back to 3,000 to 1,000 years ago. It's evident that humans have been using alcohol and other psychoactive substances for a long time. In the words of one archaeologist, the pursuit of psychoactive substances is one of the defining characteristics of humanity. However, alcohol and other psychoactive substances are dangerous for the human body. Why then do humans take this risk? There are two common scientific explanations for this question. The first explanation is known as evolutionary hijacking. Our brains have various reward systems that evolution uses to motivate specific behaviors, such as the pleasure derived from sexual intercourse. Some behaviors, like pornography, can exploit these reward systems as well, even though they do not serve the reproductive purposes that evolution intended. Similarly, human alcohol consumption could be an accidental exploitation of these reward systems, making it an appealing activity. Alcohol hijacks the brain's reward mechanisms responsible for liking and craving, and individuals who enjoy chemical rewards activate these brain regions to seek more. The second explanation for human alcohol consumption is the idea of evolutionary remnants. Scholars who support this explanation have various theories. For example, biologist Robert Dudley proposed the drunken monkey hypothesis, suggesting that early humans might have used the smell of alcohol to locate ripe fruits. Individuals sensitive to the smell of alcohol could find more fruits, resulting in higher calorie intake. Alcohol contains 7 calories per gram, while fat contains 9 calories per gram, and protein contains only 4 calories per gram. For our hungry ancestors, alcohol had its advantages. In modern times, our love for alcohol can be seen as an evolutionary remnant, as we no longer need alcohol to solve caloric problems. Instead, it only causes liver damage and obesity. Some also argue that brewing alcohol was a means of storing calories, as fermenting grains and fruits converted their calories into a more durable and portable form. In an era without refrigeration, these resources wouldn't spoil quickly. From this perspective, the traditional function of alcohol is akin to pickling or preserving vegetables. At first glance, these explanations make sense, but upon closer examination, their persuasiveness is limited. For example, humans do not prefer overripe fruits that produce ethanol. Furthermore, storing food doesn't rely solely on alcohol production. An Irish tradition involves turning oats into porridge, fermenting it for a few weeks until it solidifies into a bread-like mass, which is then sliced, fried, and consumed. This method preserves food without causing harm to the body. The question of why humans drink remains inconclusive, and the scientific community has yet to agree on whether alcohol consumption is an evolutionary mistake or an adaptation. However, there is evidence to suggest that alcohol consumption has been an integral part of human evolution. Many animals, especially those that primarily eat fruits, have enzymes that metabolize ethanol in their bodies. Some primates, including humans, carry a superefficient variant of the enzyme alcohol dehydrogenase, which quickly breaks down ethanol into compounds that are easier for the body to use or eliminate. This challenges the idea of evolutionary hijacking. Early humans might have already adapted to alcohol and hallucinogenic plants when they started consuming them. This suggests that alcohol and other psychoactive substances have long been part of human evolution and not an unforeseen threat. So why do humans drink alcohol? As previously mentioned, the author's main argument is that alcohol's continued existence and its evolutionary adaptation are due to its ability to help humans address specific challenges. To explain this viewpoint, we need to examine the challenges early humans faced in their journey toward becoming the humans we are today, from an evolutionary perspective. For any species, reproduction and development involve adapting to specific ecological niches. An ecological niche refers to a species' place in a local ecosystem, such as whether it is a predator or prey, an herbivore or carnivore. On a more fundamental level, it refers to a species' entire set of survival strategies. Humans have a unique ecological niche, and our main adaptive challenge has always been dealing with other people rather than the physical environment. Survival has depended not on strength or individual intelligence, but on social skills, particularly the ability to form and maintain cooperative relationships. While being strong, skilled at hunting, and clever is important, those who rose to the top of the survivor's hierarchy were often the ones who excelled at teamwork, negotiation, and manipulation. Knowing how to hunt is important, but knowing how to share food, negotiate transportation, and guard against food theft is even more crucial. In crowded caves, facing strangers rather than kin, humans needed to learn to cooperate. In other words, the human ecological niche required creativity, culture, and community. To explain this viewpoint, we must delve into the challenges early humans faced on their path to becoming modern humans. Creativity is the first element of the human ecological niche. Humans are the only species capable of inventing new things. We can create tools, sew clothing, build homes, and cook food, all of which have contributed to the growth and transformation of our species, changing the world around us. Humans can invent and create because we possess the ability to think laterally. Lateral thinking leads to eureka moments, where solutions to difficult problems appear seemingly out of the blue. The solution to a complex problem is often not found through reflection or logic but through a sudden burst of insight. Compared to other primates, human childhood is longer and more vulnerable. Children are terrible at executing plans, but they excel at solving lateral thinking tasks, displaying curiosity and wild imagination. Children are characterized by their cognitive flexibility. When it comes to learning new tasks, young individuals of many species tend to outperform their elders, thanks to the structure of their brains. The brain matures by pruning unnecessary neurons. When an area of the brain stabilizes, forming a compact, efficient system, it has matured. The density of gray matter relative to white matter in an area of the brain is an indicator of how much pruning has occurred. Gray matter is the neuron-rich part of the brain, which decreases as an area matures. White matter is responsible for transmitting information. As gray matter decreases, white matter increases, improving the brain's efficiency and speed of information transfer, but diminishing its flexibility. An area rich in gray matter is like an undeveloped area where you can roam freely but lack efficiency. In contrast, increasing white matter density signifies the development and construction of infrastructure in that area, making it easier to reach your destination, but restricting you to a predetermined path, unable to experience unexpected surprises. As individuals transition from childhood to adulthood, the density of gray matter in the frontal cortex of their brains decreases, while the density of white matter increases. Therefore, as the frontal cortex matures, cognitive flexibility decreases, which is essential for task completion and delayed gratification but poses an obstacle to creativity. To stimulate creativity, cognitive control must be relaxed. Research on pianists found that their frontal cortex activity decreased when transitioning from playing composed pieces to improvising. Studies have shown that adults with permanent frontal cortex damage perform better on lateral thinking tasks. In other words, the reason children possess creativity might be that their frontal cortex has not fully matured. Adults with mature frontal cortex can still relax this part of the brain and access creativity using various methods. Alcohol can temporarily disconnect the frontal cortex. Perhaps that's why some advertising companies have bars where employees can drink, or why the famous Chinese poet Li Bai needed alcohol to write poetry instead of tea. The second element of the human ecological niche is culture. Individual creativity is remarkable, but humans possess the unique ability to transmit and enhance knowledge accumulated by their predecessors through culture. Innovation is cumulative, with each new development building upon the work of those who came before. Culture allows humans to find solutions to problems. Cultural evolution theorists argue that we shouldn't view the brain as an individual organ, but as part of a larger network, a collective brain with multiple nodes. Humans depend heavily on culture, a trait almost unique in the animal kingdom. Most animals interact with the world through non-social learning, where individuals assess problems and devise solutions independently. However, at some untraceable point in human evolution, humans began to rely more and more on social learning, using solutions provided by culture when they encountered problems. This change meant that individuals had to be willing to believe in and rely on others. Evolution molded humans to be exceptionally open compared to other primates, tolerant of strangers, open to new experiences, and always ready to play. This openness to others leads to the third element of the human ecological niche community. Humans share some similarities with social insects like bees in that we rely on each other and cooperate. However, humans are a bit different from bees. Bees never need to worry about their fellow insects refusing to cooperate, as worker bees always toil obediently. In contrast, the origin of human primates left us with an evolutionary problem. At a deeper level, we are still fundamentally selfish, occasionally backstabbing apes rather than entirely cooperative, and selfless, like worker bees. This inherent tension has existed throughout human history, manifesting itself in our cooperative endeavors. A well-known example is the prisoner's dilemma. Imagine you are a prisoner being interrogated, and you will only receive reduced sentences if both you and your accomplice remain silent. However, you cannot trust that your partner will cooperate. Given this risk, the only rational strategy is to betray your partner and accuse them. Fortunately, humans are not entirely rational, and people often choose cooperation in prisoners' dilemmas because they have emotional commitments to each other. However, these commitments can be unreliable. How can you trust someone? This leads us to the saying, in vino veritas, in wine, there is truth. Alcohol can impair the control function of the frontal cortex, making it challenging to accurately disguise one's emotions and words. This is why important social occasions and business negotiations often take place over drinks. The handshake was initially a sign of not carrying weapons, and communal drinking can be seen as a way to disarm men. Henry Kissinger once told China's Deng Xiaoping, "I think if we drink enough mayote, we can solve anything." He was possibly referring to the social function of alcohol. By this point, we can understand the author's main argument. In the unique human ecological niche, we need to maintain creativity, absorb and transmit culture, build trust with others, and rely on commitments to avoid the prisoner's dilemma. To achieve this effect, we need a way to temporarily shut down the frontal cortex, allowing adults to regain the creativity and trust of children. Meditation, asceticism, and extreme breathing exercises can achieve this, but they are time-consuming and demanding. In comparison, alcohol becomes a better choice. The process of alcohol's action in the human body involves two stages. In the first stage, as blood alcohol levels rise, it promotes the release of dopamine and serotonin, reducing anxiety and making a person feel stimulated and happy. In the second stage, as blood alcohol levels peak, alcohol begins to have a calming effect by suppressing neural activity. It mainly inhibits three brain regions: the frontal cortex, hippocampus, and cerebellum. This explains why intoxicated individuals lose their ability to walk normally, experience blackouts, and exhibit a phenomenon known as myopia of intoxication, where they become sluggish, focused only on the present, and fail to consider abstract matters or anticipate the consequences of their actions. They feel very good about themselves but cannot assess the abstract. In other words, alcohol can temporarily transform mature adults into children with flexible, open, and childlike minds, making it easier for us to trust others and be trusted. This is why the author believes that alcohol is a key element in promoting human cooperation, cultural transmission, and innovation. Part 2. So far, we've been discussing evolution and ancient history. But what about in modern society? Electronic games and antidepressants can also help us reduce stress and improve our mood. Modern banking and legal systems have eliminated the need to get each other drunk at the table to build trust and do not harm the body. So, are there any other benefits to drinking alcohol? In 2018, the medical journal The Lancet published a study concluding that alcohol is one of the most significant threats to global human health. Even moderate drinking has more harms to health than benefits. The safest level of alcohol consumption is not drinking at all. However, the author's perspective is somewhat unique. They believe that we should balance the physiological costs of alcohol with its ability to promote creativity, satisfaction, and social cohesion. Alcohol unquestionably causes harm, but it also has its uses. For instance, alcohol can enhance creativity, which is essential both in the past and present. Google has a whiskey room where programmers take a break and consume a small amount of alcohol when they face creative bottlenecks. The key here is that this room is a communal space, so people can share ideas over a drink. On the one hand, alcohol can stimulate creative insights, and on the other, some ideas may not seem as foolish or far-fetched when you're a bit tipsy, and experienced colleagues might not appear as intimidating. This whiskey room could become an incubator for collective creativity. Communism, for example, was conceived by Engels and Marx during a 10-day beer drinking session. Parisian salons, where knowledge and artistic innovation thrived, were also abundant in alcoholic beverages. Today, alcohol can stimulate collective creativity and build trust among people. When present at gatherings or festivals, it can create collective jubilation, bringing people closer together and strengthening unity. That's why people still meet in bars to have a drink and chat or attend beer festivals. Beyond these functions, the author also offers a somewhat philosophical view. We need alcohol to help us lose ourselves. It's an essential way to escape from ourself. The writer Stuart Walton once said, "A drunk is the opportunity to temporarily break free from it for a lifetime." It's not just humans. Many animals also have a need to lose themselves. For instance, the slow loris becomes addicted to poisonous centipedes. A psychologist once said intoxication is the fourth drive in the animal kingdom, following food, sex, and sleep. However, humans have a stronger need to escape from themselves than most animals, because we have a flaw that other animals don't: conscious self-awareness. Albert Camus reflected on the essence of human existence, saying, "If I were a cat, I'd be able to accept the world as it is. More accurately, this problem wouldn't even arise because I'd belong to the world. I'd be the world." But now I'm opposed by my whole consciousness. Animals don't contemplate who they are, where they come from, where they are going, and whether what they are doing has any meaning. But humans do. Alcohol temporarily shuts down this curse of the self, the internally guided and anxiety-prone inner commentator that prevents us from fully enjoying life. This may be the fourth element of the human ecological niche: consciousness. Everyone has an urge to escape from themselves, and some find an outlet through meditation, yoga, or daydreaming, while others rely on alcohol to meet this need. Part 3. The author believes that alcohol can bring benefits to both individuals and society, accelerating the progress of human civilization. However, if we are not careful, alcohol can also turn us back into animals. Firstly, drinking is harmful to health. Drinking is highly likely to develop dependency and escalate to the point of alcoholism, which has clear detrimental effects on health and life. Some addiction researchers believe that frequent drinkers become more adapted to alcohol, needing to consume it continually to feel normal, resetting their body's equilibrium to a pathological position. Beyond health, intoxication leads to a range of negative consequences, including violence, drunk driving, unintended pregnancies, sexual assaults, and more. The World Health Organization has associated alcohol with various causes of death, including liver damage, cancer, self-harm, industrial accidents, drowning, falls, HIV/AIDS, and falling, to name a few. Among these negative consequences of alcohol, the two most prominent are violence and risky behavior. Dionysus is the Greek god of wine, representing chaos and disorder. Besides its stimulating effects, alcohol is the only known drug that increases aggression and violence in people. Alcohol's stimulating effects, coupled with the cognitive myopia and loss of executive function it induces, can trigger violent behavior, especially in individuals with low levels of cognitive control. Most countries are vigilant about group drinking events, such as sporting events. As early as 5 BC, there was an inscription at the Delphi Sports Stadium that read, "No spectators are allowed to bring grapes into the arena." In addition to violent confrontations, alcohol can also lead to sexual assault cases. In up to 72% of sexual assault cases, both the perpetrator and the victim were at least somewhat intoxicated, and alcohol is a significant factor in acquaintance sexual assault cases. However, the author points out in the book that the link between alcohol and violence against women is fundamentally driven by patriarchal or misogynistic social norms, not by ethanol molecules, because alcohol only removes inhibitions, but is not a causal factor. In our daily lives, the most common negative impact of alcohol is the so-called drinking culture. In drinking gatherings, some people feel compelled to drink excessively, because if you don't drink this glass, you're disrespecting me. Once drinking is integrated into a professional environment, those who cannot or choose not to drink are marginalized. Women at drinking tables face even more complex situations. While there are many downsides to drinking, it also has some benefits. As I mentioned at the beginning today, I am not encouraging you to drink. We need to weigh the costs and benefits of drinking and treat alcohol responsibly. So, how should you drink? The author provides several pieces of advice. Firstly, we must emphasize again that the safest level of alcohol consumption is not drinking at all. Secondly, if you genuinely want to have a small drink, you should consciously monitor how much alcohol you're consuming. You can use shallow glasses or limit the number of glasses you have. Avoid drinking alone, because drinking alone can lead to one glass after another until you're drunk. Whenever possible, drink with family and friends who care about your health to watch over each other. In social settings with alcohol, one should abandon toxic drinking cultures on the one hand and take specific measures on the other. For instance, offer an equal number of alcoholic and non-alcoholic beverages, and provide ample and easily accessible water. This may seem simple but is essential, because in a social setting, if water is not readily available, it's highly likely that someone will end up drinking too much. Conclusion. Well, these are the highlights from the book I wanted to share with you. Although alcohol is harmful to health, no culture has missed it. The author believes that the reason alcohol-loving humans did not discard this bad habit during evolution is that alcohol helps early humans overcome specific challenges, such as alleviating stress, inspiring creativity, maintaining openness, building cooperation, and satisfying the need to escape from oneself. However, the negative consequences of alcohol are also evident. I'll emphasize once again, the safest level of alcohol consumption is not drinking at all, and everyone needs to approach alcohol with caution. In Greek mythology, in the Temple of the Gods, there are two deities. One is the wine god Dionysus, who governs intoxication, fertility, emotions, and chaos, and the other is Apollo, representing reason, order, and self-control. Apollo and Dionysus respectively symbolize self-control and self-indulgence. As humans, we need to find a balance between Apollo and Dionysus, between rational thinking and occasionally getting distracted by beautiful, interesting things, whether through games, meditation, daydreaming, or alcohol. After all, Apollo, the sober adult, can't always be online. Well, these are the key contents of this book. If you enjoyed this book, feel free to share it with your friends. Congratulations, you've finished another book.